babes, and welcome back to my channel. A bit of a different video today, one that I've wanted to do for ages, ever since I started my sobriety journey. I've just felt like I just want to like spread the word and tell so many people how amazing it is, and also all of the things that I've found hard, because it can feel like such a lonely decision to try and be sober in a world that it feels like everyone's obsessed with alcohol, and that was including me. If you've watched me for a while, you know I was quite a heavy drinker, so it's been like a complete lifestyle change. So I thought I would just put everything in one place and tell you everything I learned and all the highs and lows that came with being sober for 3 months. If you like my videos, it would be incredible if you could give me a thumbs up, drop a little comment, let me know what you thought, and of course subscribe. Go grab a cheeky little coffee or a non-alcoholic beverage, and let's just get into the video. Also, before I start this video, I just want to make a disclaimer that I'm not suffering with an alcohol addiction. So some of the advice and some of the things I've gone through in this video will have been easier for me in that sense. Like, I don't have a dependence on alcohol, so for me to stop it, there isn't many physical effects. But if you or someone you know are struggling with alcohol addiction, then I will leave some links below that will really help you. And I'm really sorry, my heart goes out to you. Obviously, this advice still might help you and change your mindset, but that it comes a point where you might not be able to relate to the things I'm saying. So yeah, I just wanted to put that out there. I cannot start this video without talking about this book. This is The Sober Girl Society, written by Millie Gooch. I am lucky enough to have met her. This book was recommended to me by my friend Danny. When Millie was a journalist, we used to like email her for stuff, so it's really weird that it's kind of come all the way back round, and I think this book is just incredible. And I think if I didn't have it, I don't think I would have managed to stay sober for as long as I did. They also do virtual meetups, and they have a really big community, so check out their Instagram. I also went to like a sober dance class with them, and yeah, it's amazing. Another quick shout out I have to do is this other book called The Unexpected Joy of Being Sober by Catherine Gray. I listened to it on Spotify audiobook, because if you have premium, you actually have access to so many books, which is fab. Oh my gosh, it's quite different to this one. They're both equally as important to me, but it really just completely changed my outlook on life and how I view sober people and alcohol and everything. So yeah, I just owe a lot to these two books. I think we should start by talking about why I wanted to even go sober in the first place. It was quite a big decision, but I'll be honest, it became a fairly easy decision for me because of how ill alcohol was making me. You might have watched a video I did in the summer, which was opening up about my anxiety. I would definitely say that was rock bottom in my life, rock bottom in my mental health for a few years. It's kind of been declining like slowly, but I could like handle it and stay above the water. But this summer it really got to its disgusting, ugly peak, and I didn't know what to do. I was genuinely like, I feel like I'm becoming agoraphobic. Is that the word? When you can't leave the house, I was like, could not even get to my front gate without shaking and feeling like I was having a panic attack. I just was like sleeping the whole week. I was struggling to see the point in like life. Maybe we put a trigger warning here, it's quite some deep stuff, but I didn't want to like die essentially. I know that's really dark, but I also was like, I can't see a way out of feeling like this. I just think this is my life forever. Like, I was very, very hopeless because I felt so bad. I got to a point where enough was enough, and I was willing to do anything to make my mental health better, because I just didn't want to live like that. I wanted to be back to the person that was full of life and joy and wanted to experience things, and also, you know, the kind of person who could just get on a train without hyperventilating. It just felt unfair. I was like, I don't want to be like this anymore, okay? And something I have known for a very long time, especially because a lot of you comment a lot of you send me messages about it, is there is a direct link between drinking alcohol and bad mental health. Like, it's a depressant at the end of the day. It makes you feel so good in the moment, but it's almost like borrowed happiness. You're borrowing happiness from the next week to have fun on this Friday. Do you know what I mean? I can't remember who said that quote, but it really resonates with me, and it's so true, because you feel so amazing when you drink, but for what cost? It was costing me the whole week. Other people get hangovers for like one day. I was getting a hangover the next day where I was throwing up like until 8 p.m. like constantly couldn't even keep water down. This was happening like every time I drank, and that wasn't even enough to stop me drinking apparently. But I realized it was then creeping into like my whole week. I wouldn't feel okay until like Thursday, Friday. I was getting the shakes. I was just feeling really depressed, really lethargic and tired, and I was like, am I throwing away my whole life just to have, you know, one day of fun a week, one evening of fun? And is it even fun? Like, that's something we need to talk about too, because sometimes drinking isn't fun. Sometimes when you're drinking because you're sad or drinking to hide your emotions, it becomes quite ugly. It led me to have horrible arguments with my really closest friends, saying things to them that I would never dream of saying. We've never argued when we're sober, and that really clicked for me. Like, I don't have these kind of arguments with people when I'm sober. Especially with my ex-boyfriends, I was vile when I would get like blackout drunk, not remember what I did or said, and they would be like, you know, this needs to change or we're gonna break up with you. This was said to me quite a few times. I was given these ultimatums, which I thought like, oh, they're being controlling, but they were actually trying to help me because I had a problem. Like, and blackouts are so scary because I could have done anything in that moment, and a lot of people don't believe they're real, but they happen a lot more to women because women are smaller, have lower body fat, so alcohol gets into their bloodstream quicker. So if you're doing something like a bottomless brunch where you're just smashing back the Prosecco's, there's more chance you are gonna get absolutely fucked, which is what used to happen to me. And it's so sad because I genuinely used to see it as like funny, like I blacked out again, don't remember what happened, but then it started to get more sinister and scary, and I found myself getting into these really crazy situations. Like, I woke up one day and I was just like on my floor and my clothes were like off, but not because I obviously couldn't unlace my boots, so my jeans were just like pulled down to my ankles and I was on the floor. I woke up like, how did I get home? Had a message from a random guy and he was like, I hope you got home safe. And I was like, how did I get home? And he was like, I saw you just walking on your own outside this club. And he luckily was nice enough as a person to drop me home safely, where he could have done anything to me. Do you know what I mean? Like, I just was like, nah. And I know loads of people use the excuse like, I was drunk, whatever, I was drunk. And I used to use that excuse so much and think it was so valid. Like, well, yeah, I was drunk, obviously it wasn't me. But then I started to realize that like, I'm choosing to get that drunk. Like, my choice is to put that many drinks behind me, knowing that I have blackouts, that I get aggressive sometimes when I'm drunk, and I was still doing it. That's on me. That's not, I can't excuse myself, you know what I mean? That was the main gist of the reasons why I wanted to go sober. I knew it for ages, but it took me maybe like 2 years to come to terms with it. Like, I knew alcohol was fucking up my mental health, but you know, I live in London and I'm young and I get invited to events with free alcohol and all my friends are drinking, so it felt impossible. Like, I truly was like, there's no way in my life I could never drink because this is my lifestyle. Like, I just couldn't see the correlation that I had the choice to like change my life. I was very like, I'm just a hamster on a wheel doing what everyone else does. Like, I really used to be like that, and I feel like for the first time I'm like waking up and deciding to do things for myself and for what is in the best interest of my health. And I say I didn't have a problem with alcohol, but it does make you look at it as a whole. Like, me not being able to go on nights out or see my friends without drinking, surely that's a little bit problematic. Like, if I'm drinking every single week, that's still a pattern of a behavior. Like, I might not be addicted to alcohol, but there's a sort of like reliance on it. And I think a lot of us lie to ourselves by saying because we don't drink every day that we are normal drinkers. I think the UK in general has really messed up our idea of what's normal drinking. Like, drinking is very normalized, but it's not normal. Like, the amount we drink in the UK is not normal. We have the highest percentage of female binge drinkers, and it does actually affect women worse than men. It does. Our bodies can't hack it as well. I would gaslight myself and say the fact that I'm only drinking on a Friday or a Saturday and getting smashed meant it was better, you know? I'm not saying one's better than the other, but there's just little tricks our brain does on us to kind of like justify our alcohol use. And I know it's a touchy subject, and like, I don't want anyone to watch this video and think I'm judging. Like, I'm not judging. I do not care if my friends drink, as long as they're being safe and they're happy and they feel good. I couldn't give a fuck if my friends drink or if you drink. This video is for people that feel like they maybe want to try a sober lifestyle but don't know how to. Do you know what I mean? If you think you would benefit from it. But it also, even people that want to still drink, it's just good to know a bit more facts and figures of how to like drink safer. So yeah, I was just a classic binge drinker. I would never touch it in the week. I wouldn't even, you know what I mean? I didn't see the point in drinking unless it was to get drunk and like escape my problems. And I didn't realize how many things I was relying on alcohol for. Like, I was not addressing certain things I'd bottled up because I was like just so excited to drink and like get out of my head. I overthink massively, so drinking is the only time I feel like free, like I'm not in my head, like I actually let loose and enjoy myself. It also makes me feel really confident, like I could chat to anyone, and I am actually really shy, something I didn't realize until I stopped drinking. So the next part is going to be all the things I learned and things that improved in my life when I stopped drinking. So the first thing I noticed got better when I stopped drinking instantly was my mental health, which I am like over the moon and so grateful for, because there was a time I genuinely thought like that would be my life forever. I didn't think I was ever going to get better, and honestly within 2-3 weeks my panic attacks stopped, my anxiety attacks stopped, I stopped shaking, and it was crazy. I was like, wow, this substance has been kind of like ruining my life for the last however many years and stopping my ability to do normal things, and I was just choosing it again and again, almost like poisoning myself. Like it was crazy, but you know, better late than never. Other things that improved health-wise was I just had so much more energy. Like I could wake up in the morning and like easily just get out of bed. Before it was like I was stuck in the mud, like life was just groggy and grey, and like just simply getting out of bed was impossible. Like I can't explain it, it was crazy. Whereas the minute I didn't drink, like I just was like, oh, like I've got a bit of a pep in my step, especially because I don't get hangovers now every Sunday. Like I feel like I've genuinely gained a whole day or weeks. Focus is better. I can like watch a whole film now and pay attention. I can think clearly. I think that was one of the craziest things, is your brain feels so clear and calm for the first time in ages. Like I've been binge drinking since I was 14, okay, which is actually mad because I wasn't even legally drinking. So I've had what, 13 years of consistent binge drinking. Like I don't even want to know the effects that's had on my body long term. And I'll be so honest, having clear thoughts can be scary for some people. I am an overthinker and I'm a deep thinker. I'm a highly sensitive person. I like to be sat on my own thinking a lot, so I'm comfortable with thinking. But even I was like, damn, like I've been, you know, having these breakthroughs and everything feels really clear and crisp, and like I'm not having anything to dull the pain, but it also meant I'm not having anything to dull the good stuff. Like I also was having good realizations and like viewing life more positively. Like I had a more positive mindset that naturally, and I was finding like beauty in the most weirdest things. And I know Catherine Gray talks about this in her book, and I know Eminem talked about it as well. Like you notice nature or things that you didn't ever look at. Like I will look at leaves and be like, oh my god, like they're stunning. Like when the trees turn orange at autumn, I was like, oh, it's so pretty. And like it's really weird. It's like you're viewing life in color for the first time. Like it's just wild. And they do have this saying in the beginning of sobriety called pink fluffy clouds, and I definitely was in that mindset for a while, where you know, you felt so bad for so long. When you suddenly feel good and remove alcohol, everything feels amazing. So you're kind of in pink fluffy clouds phase, and you can't remember why you ever drunk, and just everything's so good. But the hard part is once that wears off and you go back to reality, sometimes there's like that moment where you might want to drink again. So yeah, I was definitely in that phase for a while, which was fun. It was a nice phase to be in. Things improved physically. I don't want to focus on this too much because I don't think it should necessarily be a reason as to why you go sober, but I mean, it's always a bonus. So like my skin never looked so gorgeous and glowy, because obviously I was replacing like Prosecco and sugary horrible drinks with just only water, and I do drink coffee, as you know. But like my skin completely cleared up around my chin. I barely get spots now. I feel like it just doesn't look dull anymore, like it's glowy. And then another thing that I really noticed, I was looking at old photos from like last year, like you know, you do like a little recap of 2023, and honestly my face looked, I've always had big puffy cheeks, but my face just looked a lot more like defined. I know wine makes your face puffy and you get like, what's it called when you know, it's all just like swollen because you drink so much. Like my face did not have any definition at all, and it was really puffy. And yeah, I was like, oh, okay. I did lose a little bit of weight, and it was kind of a natural weight because I wasn't working out loads. I was eating the same, you know, it was kind of over Christmas I noticed it, like I was eating chocolate and everything, and I still naturally lost about 9 pounds, which is quite a lot to lose just from cutting out alcohol. Again, I don't want this to be a reason like, oh, just because I want my body to look better, I'm not going to drink, but it does naturally make everything better. Like it's going to, because you're poisoning your cells, you know. I feel like hair just gets a bit like thicker and nicer. So yeah, they had the physical benefits, and I really don't know if the universe was just praising me for making this decision, because if I'm honest, I think there were so many signs that were pushing me to do this for a long time, and I should have noticed them before I got to rock bottom. Even when I dislocated my knee, it stopped me walking for a while, stopped me being able to go out and dance. I was going down quite a dark path when that happened. Like I was going out a lot, I was like in clubs all the time, drinking, and it stopped me from doing that. And I sometimes wonder, was that the universe being like, Sadie, you need to slow down, this is not you, this is not what you should be doing. But the minute I stopped drinking, like loads of weird nice things would happen to me. Like people are a lot nicer to me. I don't know if I'm just noticing it more, or if I give off like a nicer vibe, so people are like giving it back to me. But like I'll be at a restaurant and been given like free food 3 times since I've gone sober. Like it's really weird. Like they're just like, oh, I'll get it for you for free, like it's on the house. I'm like, what? And like people will stop me in the street and give me compliments, and I know you might think I'm chatting shit, but like this never happened to me. Like things like this did not happen to me, but people now always stop me and will say stuff, or like people will just be nice to me on the bus, and I'm like, I don't know if it's me giving off a nicer vibe because I'm not like depressed from alcohol, I don't know, but it's a lovely bonus. I mean, on a spiritual way, I don't think drinking loads of alcohol is great for your like aura or energy or vibe. I don't know loads about that, but I've been researching, and apparently it does just lower your vibration when you're hungover and have anxiety. Of course you're gonna feel a bit like shit because you're putting another substance in you, but when you're sober and just like your natural self, it kind of shines through. Maybe like that does logically make sense, but it was fun, it was cool. Another thing that completely improved, no one will be shocked at this, finances. The amount of money you will save by not drinking should be reason enough not to drink. Like I'm not even fucking joking. I was going through my tax return, and when I was going through my like statements, there would be pages and it would just be one night out. Like it was just like £14.50, £50 bar tabs, kebab shop, like buying makeup before, buying like outfit. Like it would be so long. And it was just mad because once you're drunk, you don't care how much you spend. Like it's so hard to save when you are drunk because you don't care. You're like, woo, let's get around it. I would buy shots for everyone. Like I am notoriously generous on nights out, buying shots, buying drinks. I do not care. I'm like, let's go. And the amount of money I have saved is wild. Like I went on a night out, right, and I didn't drink in London. I literally got the tube and had a Red Bull. So I spent £7.50. You can't even buy one drink for that in London. So if you just deep how much you spend. And now the money I saved, I spending on traveling, and I'm spending on like healthy things. Like now I can pay my monthly yoga thing, my gym, my dance, my life coaching, and my therapy. Like I put all the money that I'm saving from not drinking and I put it into something that's good for me. You end up having so much free time, which is kind of a blessing and a curse, because you know, my whole life revolved around where we're going at the weekend and what club we're going to. So now I have this like 4 weekends a month where I'm like, what do I do now? It gave me an identity crisis because I was like, what do I like doing apart from drinking? Like it's so sad and pathetic. I was like, I don't do anything else but drink and social. I know it's socializing, but like I could still do that without drinking. But I didn't know who I was. I didn't know my hobbies. Although it seems scary at first, it did end up being a positive because I found other things I like doing. And I'm not gonna lie to you and say that it's easy, because it's not. Like it was a very lonely process, and I did lose friends, but I realized I really like doing things like dance, yoga, walking, traveling, exploring places. I love writing, and I just think now I have a lot more time to do those creative things. And when I do see my friends now, I feel like it's a proper bond. Like we're actually having these nice deep conversations, we're finding other ways to have fun. And yes, I did lose certain people, but again, I can see it as a positive if they are only a party friend or only my friend, because they like the drunk version of me that just gets fucked up, then that wasn't a real friendship anyway. And like, I don't really want those kind of connections at this age of my life. Like, I want people that actually like me for me, we actually get on. I feel like alcohol just creates a fake bond between people. Like, how many times you meet someone on a night out and you're like, babe, you're my best friend, I'm gonna see you, and you never see them again. Like, it just accelerates this like intimacy, which I don't think is real, and I only want real stuff in my life now, and I'm okay with that. Like, I'm okay with being a bit of a loner if I'm peaceful and feel healthy and feel happy. So good riddance. Another thing that was kind of hard was the realization that I'm not this confident, crazy party girl person. I had this identity of myself for so long, like Sadie's the fun party girl, and when I didn't have that identity, like I genuinely was like looking in the mirror like, I don't know who this bitch is, like I don't know who you are, and it really freaked me out. And I had to just kind of like reconnect with myself. Kind of okay with being shy and awkward now. Like, I've accepted it. Before, I think I pretended to be confident, and so many of you message and think that I'm really confident, or people that met me, they're like, you're really confident, girl, and I'm like, no, like I'm confident when I know people and when I get on with people and feel comfortable. But apart from that, I am a bit awkward and shy, and like I like to like sit and like assess the situation before I talk, and sometimes I don't want to talk. And I used to like use alcohol to cover that up and like force it and be chatty and be this larger than life person, because I think those people always get rewarded, and those people are like I wish I could be that person, but I also can't fake it anymore. Like, I feel a lot more better in myself and relaxed when I'm just like true to myself, if that makes sense. And there is nothing wrong with being a bit more of a quiet or shy or introverted person, and I think I told myself there was for ages, and at least now if someone likes me, they like the real me, you know? Some other things I found really difficult was the pressure and judgments from other people. I think mainly it came from family and the older generation. Like, I think people my age, sobriety is really making moves, and people are really starting to understand the benefits of it and why someone would want to live that lifestyle. But the older generation, you know, it's not their fault, but all they've ever known is drinking down the pub every weekend, and it's such a big thing that I think they just find it shocking that the younger generation, they're like, oh, that's boring. And it's fair, but it's like it can get tiring trying to explain, and I think the less you explain the better. Or like, I just say it's for my health. I just say, oh, it made me feel really ill, so I didn't like doing it. And that, what can someone say to that? Like, no one can say, oh, you're a pussy. Like, I think that's the best route I've gone down, and I definitely feel like being really set on it and open and being like, yeah, I just don't drink, I just don't want to drink, and I'm not drinking at the moment. Saying it really like confidently like doesn't really allow people to chat shit about it. Like, they're like, oh, okay. But if you're like, oh, I'm not really drinking, like, I don't know, then people see it as an opportunity to try and get you to the drink. And I don't even think people are doing this in a horrible way. I think when you're drinking, you just want people to be drinking with you, and you find it really fun, and it's like, I don't know, I don't judge when people do it to me, because I get it, and I feel like I've been that person before, and I really regret how I was to my friends who wanted to be sober. Like, I wasn't pushy, but I was just like, go on, just have one, and like, you think you're being friendly, but it is actually really jarring to someone who is trying to be sober in a culture that praises people who drink. You know, like, parents that should give kids who are 15 alcohol. Like, the UK is a wild place to live when you want to be sober. I'm gonna finish off with some tips that really helped me when I was trying to stay sober. The main thing is like having a support system. So use the Sober Girl Society, do the virtual meetups, join the WhatsApp group. Whenever you are talking about something, you can just message in there, and they'll, you know, we can all help each other out. Also, tell your friends and family, so hopefully they can support you in this. But also, don't completely expect them to understand, because there will be a point, especially at the beginning of your sobriety journey, where you're like, no one gets me, no one understands. Try alcohol-free options. Like, I really like the Gordon's gin and tonic 0%, like, so good. 0% cider. I don't really care for wine, but the fizzy prosecco from Kylie Minogue, she does like a no secco, it's got like hearts all over it. That is delicious, and that way you can kind of feel like you're joining in and still go to the pub and socialize. I'm going to give you some tips for nights out if you find yourself not wanting to drink and you have to go, or you want to go. I started going to dance classes, which really boosted my confidence, or even just like dance around your room on your own. If you can dance around your room on your own, you can dance in a club on your own. Again, when people are drunk, they don't even care what you're doing, they don't know what you're doing. Once you've done it once, you'll be like, oh, you feel so accomplished. Like, you come away being like, I am like the most confident bitch ever. And like, what an achievement. Not many people can say they've gone to a club or gone to a bar and danced sober. Like, I always have like my exit planned out, knowing I can just go home on my own, so you're not waiting on someone else. But if you are, I like let the friend know, like, I'm not going to be drinking, so I don't think I'm going to stay out that late. And I'm quite strict with that boundary, because the latest I stayed out is 3 AM and like it was fine, like I actually had a good time. But usually by like 1, everyone's quite fucked and you're sober and you get tired. That's the thing with being sober, is you actually get tired. You don't have like a substance running through your body hyping you up. Yeah, I will just tell people before I might go home early. I'll be so honest, the music is shit. If you don't like the music, you will hate it. You will hate it. When I'm drunk, I could go to any crap bar and have the best time because I just was like not even sane. When I'm sober, if they even play 2 bad songs, I'm like, get me out of here. So you really care about environment. Like, if someone's pushing you, you're gonna be annoyed at that. Like, nights out are harder. They are harder. And there comes a point as well where like people start repeating themselves to you and start chatting shit, and you feel like no one's really listening to you, and you have this really weird feeling of like everyone else is playing like this video game and you're in a simulation, and like you're the only one that's like awake. Like, you're the only one that's not crazy. These tips are not really helpful, I know. I'm just saying, I know how you feel if you feel like that. And that is the best thing. If you sleep over at your friends and they've all been drinking and they wake up and they're all hungover and you're like ready to get up and have a hike, and they're like jealous of you, and you're like, see? And then it's always worth it the next day. Even when you have that moment of like weakness of like, I would love to drink right now, I'm telling you, think about the next day, because it's literally just a few hours of fun and then you've still got the whole week. Like, I don't know, I'd rather my whole life be fulfilling and fun than just 1 night a week. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, when you do experience something fun and real joy, you realize it's like real. Like, you are really feeling this with your real emotions, and it's not jaded by alcohol. And that is such a lovely feeling, because, you know, humans aren't meant to drink. Like, we don't need it. We don't need it to breathe or function or whatever. Like, but we create this like narrative that we do need alcohol to have fun, and it's so not true. And the thing is, if you're drinking all the time, you always forget to like enjoy life without it, and that's when it gets scary. And that's when people do get addicted, because they're like, nothing could ever beat this feeling, because you're like on cloud 9, you're having you're like high, you've taken something to feel that way. So to then get those feelings naturally, I think is really fulfilling and beautiful, and it's really worthwhile. And I think it makes you like a stronger person. I honestly do. Guys, honestly, I have just rambled and word vomited at you this whole video. I'm so sorry. I hope you enjoyed watching it and got some tips and like insights about me being sober for 3 months. I am going to be so transparent and honest. You might have already seen I did have a drink when I was in Australia and in New Zealand with my family. I don't know if I can say I'm fully going to be sober forever and like my whole life. How I feel about it right now is, I think I can enjoy it for a special occasion, but for most of the time I don't want to drink. And I think it's really hard because I don't want people to judge and be like, you can't say you're sober. And I'm not saying I'm sober. I did 3 months sobriety and I'm really proud of myself. I know I can do it. I feel so much better for it. I can hands down say I will never have a blackout again. I will not let myself get to that point ever again, because it felt horrible. But I will never say never to maybe having a drink again. And you might be like, you're a fucking hypocrite, you just chat shit about alcohol. But I was in a bad place of how much I was drinking, like didn't have a good relationship with alcohol. Now I'm like learning to heal that. If I want to have 2 glasses of wine when I'm out for a birthday dinner with my friends, then I will do that, and I'm not going to be like judged for it. I think we can all decide what's right for us and like what our sobriety journey looks like. If that looks like you never drinking again, great. If that looks like you having a few drinks a year, cool. If that looks like you doing dry Jan and maybe going back to drinking but just knowing that you did that, cool. Like, I'm not here to judge you, but I'm not gonna preach to you and then be like, oh, I'm never drinking again, when I know I have drunk and might drink in the future. I don't know. This is just all the insights I learned, okay? And I really appreciate you watching. Let me know if you are thinking of not drinking for a little while, or any thoughts you have about this video. And I wish you all the luck, and I hope you have the best week. Thanks for watching. Bye.